So we've come out for a beautiful day in the Peak District, bouldering up on the edges to show you these lovely new pads. Now, it's so windy up there, we've ended up at the beautiful Stony where you can hear the cars in the background and the diggers dropping I don't know what over there, so excuse this. These are flashed pads. Flashed have been making pads for quite a long time now. This latest iteration is just brilliant. They're packed full of loads of cool features which I'm looking forward to telling you about. We've got two different sizes. We've got the Drifter, which is slightly smaller, and the Beast that I'm sat on here. This is the Big Squishy, well named. The market seems to be flooded these days with pads. There's so many out there and lots of them are pretty similar and all seem to be lacking in a few features which could really make them perfect. But these pads have a few features which just makes them stand out from the crowd and be a bit different from all the rest. So I'll start with a few of the basics. The Drifter comes in at around 5.5 kilograms and the Big Squishy is about 8.5 kilograms. I can't remember exactly the sizes of them, but hopefully Sam's put it around here on the screen. We can obviously see it on our website. So the Big Squishy sounds like quite a lot of weight, but compared to a lot of its competitors, actually it feels pretty light and nimble for such a big pad. Both the pads feature 1680 denier ballistic nylon uppers. So basically, if you don't know what that means, it's really flipping tough. Sort of reinforced around the corners with a PU coating as well, so it can repel water for a long time, even though it's not fully waterproof, and makes it super durable, so you're hoping to have these for quite a long time. I personally really like folding pads over tacos as well, because one, they're a bit quicker and simpler, you can shove your stuff in it, grab the handles and move to the next problem, but two, the foam doesn't sort of deteriorate while being rolled up in the taco shape, which is the way you shouldn't store it, but people do, so this is safe when left in your car. I really like all the burly features, so the handles, not everyone even puts handles both sides of the pad here, which is just idiotic, because it's so useful. Shove your stuff in it, grab both of those, move on. But these are like car seatbelt style handles here, just super tough, easy to grab, and even when you're as clumsy and rushed as me, I grab them every time. Sticking with the burly design, there's not an ounce of plastic on here, all the buckles are metal, so you're not going to stand on it, break it, crush it over time. These are going to last you. So one of the most important features with the flash pads is the carry system. Now, all pads now have shoulder straps, of course, but most of them are just sort of generic, put on there, might not even have a waist strap. This is the first time I could actually do a proper fitting with you in the shop like I would do the rucksacks. We've made like 10-minute long videos showing you how to fit a rucksack. Why don't you do it with your pads? So what we've got here is two different areas where you can put the shoulder straps, depending on your height. Obviously I'm quite tall, so I've gone for the top. But what's really cool that no one ever does with pads is they've actually got tension straps. When we're fitting rucksacks, this is basically what we look at to see what angle this goes at, depending on how it carries the weight well. Also the hip belt is really luxurious, well padded, quite nice and thick, feels like a real rucksack. And once again, all the buckles, of course, are these really solid metal buckles, so you ain't gonna break those in a hurry. So the other genius feature that Flash have gone for are these sort of carrying straps. These are not for putting on your back or anything. This is so you can get other pads stuffed in here. It's just genius, because how many of you actually take one pad to the crag these days? Well, maybe if you're with a big crew, but if you're on your own, you normally want to take two, don't you? And you can do this so easily using this. When you normally have one like hooked over your shoulder or chucked on the top of another pad, it just bounces and drives you crazy. And now I've carried these quite a long way today, and it's great. So I had the smaller one, the Drifter, shoved in the straps of the Big Squishy, and all you do is slide it in there, top and bottom, pull it nice and tight, and it just keeps it really secure. I also had a ton of stuff inside the pad as well, and all of it just stayed completely stable. And with that big, brilliant carry system, I felt great carrying it around all day. Obviously, we'd recommend you use flash pads stacked together, but you could use any pads. If you've already got one, but you want to upgrade or get another pad, you could use your lesser pad with flashed as well and stick it in there as well. So there's a slight difference between these two other than size. They've actually got different foam construction. So in the Drifter, we've got 2 layers of foam. Tried and tested, you have the nice soft foam underneath, but with a really solid hard foam on top. That means as you land, it sinks in, distributes the weight, you won't bottom out through it, and they feel really reassuring. However, the Big Squishy is a bit different, and it's obvious in the name. So we've got the two like before, we've got the squishy one underneath, then the really solid distributing layer there as well. But on top of that is another layer of sort of thin, squishy top air. I find this system works really well for highballing in particular, or long fall, because landing on a soft one with a hard on top is really reassuring. You won't bottom out, obviously, but it's really nice to not have that completely solid impact when you get a brand new pad, sometimes they're really harsh, can be pretty full on. So this helps just take the edge off and feels really lovely and squishy. So combined together, this would be an amazing sort of highballers, long sort of problem setup. Really, really burly, protective, reassuring pads to have underneath you. But individually, they work really well as well. So like you might be a lesser boulderer, maybe a trad climber who takes the crag sometime and just get the drifter. But the big squishy for me is one of the most reassuring things to have under you when you're out your depth a little bit too high.